Good afternoon and welcome from Baku. This was the arena, if you think back to 2017, of one of the most eventful races of modern history, with controversy behind the safety car, last-second overtakes, and a historic podium for Williams and Lance Stroll. Let's find out what lies in store for us this year. It's time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Baku City Circuit then, it's an unpredictable 3.7-mile track around the streets of the Azerbaijan capital. 20 turns for our drivers to navigate today, including the infamous Turn 8, one of the tightest and most challenging corners of the season. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and Phoenix completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Liam Lawson, Ocon, Gasly, Albon, Verstappen, Russell, Hamilton, Perez, Tsunoda, Leclerc, Bottas, Oscar Piastri, Magnussen, Ricciardo, Zhou, Stroll and Logan Sargent. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? And Anthony Davidson joins us for this one. And great to have your company. There's no weather to worry about here. What will be going through the drivers' minds as they finish these last-minute preparations?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn one. A bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
so our system checks are good. We need to stay in formation and start bringing the car up to temperature, please. Get some load into the tyres and work the brakes. We want them nice and warm by the end of this lap. Got that, confirmed. So weather shouldn't play a factor today. We're expecting it to remain dry all the way through. Okay, not the best placement there, mate. Let's try and get a good launch as the race starts. Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid is formed. Be ready with the clutch. Okay, be careful with the front wing, you've taken some minor damage. Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them. Norris behind. Pack, that's P1. We don't currently have the data for that request. Norris is behind you. behind. Our gap behind is 1.6 seconds. Their tyres are just 1 lap old. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. And the time last lap was a 1:57.5. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 3.0 seconds. They're on fresh softs. They're in third. Your last lap time was a 1:57.5. Norris behind. Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 2.7 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Their tyres are just 1 lap old. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. Time last lap was a 1:57.5. You've got 2 stops remaining now, 2 stops remaining in this strategy, and that's 13 laps now until your pit window's open. Norris is behind you. Okay, push, gap to the car behind. 3.2 seconds. Their tyres are just 1 lap old. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. And the time last lap was a 1:57.5. Repeat that, I've got some interference here. Okay, Liam's behind you. Okay, car behind trailing us, 3.4 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Their tyres are 2 laps old. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. Your last lap time was a 1:52.8. They're 8th. Okay, so the gap is 7.3 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. Time last lap was a 1:52.0. Front of the pack, Liam behind. Okay, gap to the car behind. 3.2 seconds. They're on fresh softs. You've got 11 laps until your pit window opens. 48 laps to go. We've got more than 50 laps of fuel remaining. Mind that front wing, is going to need replacing if it takes too much damage. No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving. Okay, Liam's behind you. We're leading the car behind by 2.4 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Okay, they've got 4 laps on their tyres. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. And the time last lap was a 1:51.1. Gap to your teammate behind is 2.0 seconds. Confirmed. Copy. Didn't receive that. Repeat the message. Repeat the message. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 2.1 seconds. They're on fresh softs. They're in second. Your last lap time was a 1:51.5. stops left now, 2 stops. Your pit window will be open in 7 laps' time. Behind. And the gap behind us is 2.4 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, their tyres are 7 laps old. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. Time last lap was a 1:51.8. They're sitting in 7th. The difference is 11.7 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. And the time last lap was a 1:53.6. Gap to your teammate behind is 1.7 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. They're in 2nd. Your last lap time was a 1:51.7. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 1.8 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. They're in 2nd. Time last lap was a 1:51.7. Copy that. Right, we have 2 stops left in this strategy, 2 more stops planned. You've got 4 laps until your pit window opens. Pack, that's P1. Okay, Liam's behind you. Less than a second separates you. Okay, they're on old softs. You've got 4 laps until your pit window opens. Okay, 41 laps to go. You've got 44 laps of fuel left. And you're going to be on mediums. strategy. Okay, your pit window opens next lap. Okay, they're on old softs. They're in second, and the time last lap was a 1:52.3. They're in 13th place, and so the difference is 0.5 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. In this lap, push now. Okay, we can take you this lap. Tyre condition still looking good. Behind. Okay, the gap behind is 0.9 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. Your last lap time was a 1:53.7.
And away we go. No problems, really smooth. Aston Martin will no doubt be very happy with that stop.
All right, we'll be doing one more stop today. 1 stop left in this strategy. You sat in P8, well done. Ricardo ahead. Okay, they're on old softs. That's Hamilton behind. Our gap behind is 20.1 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Okay, so gap to the leader is 3.7 seconds. 16 laps now until your pit window opens. And there's 36 laps to go. Gap to your teammate ahead is 16.1 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. They're in second. Time last lap was a 1:55.2. Ricardo ahead of you. Okay, here's the gap that we're trailing the car ahead by. 0.8 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Okay, they've done 15 laps on those tyres. Okay, we think they've got 2 stops remaining. 2 stops remaining. And the time last lap was a 1 minute 54.0. In the pit lane. Liam's in the pits now. Okay, you've got P3, well done. Piastri's ahead of you. Okay, keep an eye on that gap ahead, please. 3.1 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Norris behind. They're on fresh mediums. The distance to the leader is 8.5 seconds. Your pit window opens in 15 laps time. Okay, there are 35 laps left in this race. Okay, so the gap to the car ahead, 1.5 seconds. Norris is behind you. Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 1.1 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. We think they've got one more stop. They're 8th, and the gap is 5.5 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. We think they've got one more stop. Your last lap time was a 1:50.7. Brilliant, nice move, keep going. First position, front of the pack. You're leading the pack, that's P1. Norris behind. Okay, push, gap to the car behind. 1.4 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are just 1 lap old. We think they've got one more stop. Time last lap was a 2 minutes 05.6. Gap to your teammate behind is 4.1 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. They're in 3rd. And the time last lap was a 2:05.7. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 4.5 seconds. car behind trailing us, 3.0 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Okay, there are 35 laps of fuel remaining. Okay, one stop to go, just one stop left in this strategy. Pit window opens in 12 laps time, 12 laps. Understood, copy that. Okay, copy that. Gap to your teammate behind is 6.0 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. They're in fourth. Your last lap time was a 1 minute 51.2. think they've got one more stop. Time last lap was a 1:50.0. You're leading the pack, that's P1. Norris is behind you. We're leading the car behind by 2.9 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Okay, your pit window opens in 9 laps time. 29 laps to go. And we've got 32 laps of fuel left in the tank. Norris behind, and the gap behind us is 3.6 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Okay, their tyres are 7 laps old. We think they've got one more stop, and the time last lap was a 1:50.4. Okay, be careful with the front wing, you've taken some minor damage. Tyre condition still looking good. behind you. Okay, the gap behind is 3.2 seconds. They're on fresh mediums, and that's 6 laps till your pit window's open. And 26 laps to go now. So we've got 29 laps of fuel remaining. Norris behind. Our gap behind is 3.6 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 9 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Your last lap time was a 1:50.9. Please repeat, you're breaking up. You're leading the pack, that's P1. Norris is behind you. Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 4.0 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Your pit window opens in 5 laps time. 5 laps. Okay, you've got 25 laps to go. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 8.3 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. They're in 3rd. Time last lap was a 1:50.8. Gap to your teammate behind is 8.1 seconds. that confirmed. Window now, and you're going to be on hards next time. You're in first position, front of the pack. Norris behind. Okay, push, push. Gap to the car behind. 3.8 seconds. They're on old mediums. And your pit window opens in 2 laps' time. Okay, 22 laps left. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 8.1 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're in third. And the time last lap was a 1:51.1. And we've got 25 laps of fuel remaining. Trailing us 2.6 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 13 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Your last lap time was a 1:51.0. You only have to stop once now. One stop left. Okay, your pit window opens next lap. this lap. Okay, gap to the car behind. 2.0 seconds. I didn't catch that, mate. Just say it again. Say that again. We're having trouble receiving you. Mind that front wing, it's going to need replacing if it takes too much damage. No need to worry about the tyre condition for now, everything's looking good. Gap to your teammate behind is 7.1 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're in third. Time last lap was a 1:51.3. Okay, be careful with the front wing, you've taken some minor damage. No need to worry about the tyre condition for now, everything's looking good. Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track. Good work, we're in P4. Okay, Sainz is ahead of you. They're on old mediums. Okay, Russell's behind you now. We're leaving the car behind by 22.8 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Okay, gap to leader, 3.5 seconds. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. 19 laps to go. They're currently 6th. Okay, so the gap is 25.4 seconds. They're on old mediums. We think they've got one more stop. And the time last lap was a 1:49.1. We're currently trailing our teammate by 12.7 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're in second. Your last lap time was a 1:51.5. Mind that front wing, it's going to need replacing if it takes too much damage. No need to worry about the tyre condition for now, everything's looking good. Gap to your teammate ahead is 12.3 seconds. And the gap behind us is 7.7 seconds. Sainz ahead, and gap to the car in front is 4.8 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 16 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Time last lap was a 1:51.8. Okay, gap ahead is 2.6 seconds. Confirmed. The gap to the car in front is less than 1 second now. Well done. Let's try and get past in the DRS zone. P3, you're currently in P3. Our gap to the car in front is 7.4 seconds. They're on old mediums. Okay, Science is behind you. They're on old mediums. Our gap to first place is 12.1 seconds. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. All right, 16 laps to go. Liam's ahead of you. Okay, gap to the car ahead is 5.8 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 19 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. And the time last lap was a 1:52.1. This is brilliant. You're taking 2.5 seconds out of them each lap. We don't have the data for that, I'm afraid. Affirmative, medium tyres at the next stop. That's Science behind you now. Okay, the gap behind is 2.9 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 18 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Your last lap time was a 1:51.7. Liam's coming in for his stop now. Pack, that's P1. Russell behind. Our gap behind is 8.5 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. They're in fourth. The difference is 11.2 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Time last lap was a 1:49.7. Russell's behind you now. Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 8.8 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 6 laps old, and the time last lap was a 1 minute 49.6. And we've got 16 laps of fuel left. 16 laps. Okay, the static over the radio. Say it again. First position, front of the pack. Norris behind. Okay, push, push. Gap to the car behind. 7.6 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. 13 laps to go. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 0.6 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards. They're currently 5th. Your last lap time was a 1:50.1. They're in 4th, and so the difference is 11.9 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Time last lap was a 1 minute 50.0. Okay, car behind trailing us, 6.3 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Their tyres are 2 laps old, and the time last lap was a 1:48.9. Okay, we're down to 15 laps of fuel left now. I've got information on Albon for you. Right, they've got a serious car issue. It looks like they're retiring. Gap to the car behind. 5.1 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Their tyres are 3 laps old. Your last lap time was a 1 minute 48.8. Gap to your teammate behind is 13.8 seconds. The pack, that's P1. Norris is behind you. We're leading the car behind by 5.0 seconds. They're on fresh softs. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. And 11 laps to go. 13 laps of fuel remaining. Front of the pack, Norris behind, and the gap behind us is 3.2 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound. And 11 laps to go. 13 laps of fuel remaining. Okay, be careful with the front wing, you've taken some minor damage. No need to worry about the tyre condition for now, everything's looking good. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 12.8 seconds. Okay, they're on fresh hards, they're currently 5th. Time last lap was a 1:49.8. They're in 4th, and the gap is 11.5 seconds. They're on fresh softs, and the time last lap was a 1 minute 50.2. Okay, the gap behind is 2.5 seconds. They're on fresh softs. Their tyres are 6 laps old. Your last lap time was a 1:49.3. Find that front wing, he's going to need replacing if it takes too much damage. No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving. Gap to your teammate behind is 12.4 seconds. Repeat that, I've got some interference here. You're leading the pack That's P1, Norris behind. Our gap behind is 2.0 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. All right, 6 laps to go now. And that's 8 laps of fuel remaining. first position, front of the pack. Norris is behind you. Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 2.0 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. Come on, just 3 laps to go. 3 laps. Okay, we've got 4 laps of fuel remaining. That's just 5 laps of fuel remaining. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 16.3 seconds. They're currently 6th. Okay, so the gap is 19.8 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Time last lap was a 1 minute 51.2. Gap to your teammate behind is 15.7 seconds. Okay, they're on old hard tyres, and the time last lap was a 1:50.3. Norris behind. Okay, push, push. Gap to the car behind, 2.7 seconds. Okay, they're on old softs. Their tyres are 13 laps old. Your last lap time was a 1 minute 50.2. Oh, superb driving. That is the race win, my friend. Well done.
Aston Martin deserved a win today, and they got it.
Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Aston Martin's performance today has shown that they can be competitive with the biggest names in the sport. They're making their way out onto the podium now as we speak, and the reaction from the crowd must be incredibly uplifting for them. Let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. Phoenix increases their championship lead. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
I have to give it to Phoenix.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings.
Aston Martin move up to the top of the standings.
Been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.